Joining us now is Wedbush Managing Director Dan Ives and the founder and president of EMJ Capital, Eric Jackson. You got my point. Listen, there's no doubt it's a big quarter, Dan, okay? I mean, it's a huge quarter. As you call him, the Godfather of AI, strikes again. Investors love it. Everything's up. Do you at all worry, at all, maybe not, that they just simply won't be able to make enough of this to meet all these super bullish investor expectations?
Look, I mean, as the Godfather of AI, Jensen spoke, the market listens. And this shows this is not peaking. The demand's going to continue to accelerate. All of our supply chain checks, we don't see any major supply issue that dents this story into 2025, which is why I believe this puts jet fuel in this tech bull market. Call it a Taylor Swift moment for the tech market. But I believe this is probably the most important earnings that we've seen from any company in the market for the last 5 years.
Eric Jackson, is there anything at all in the quarter that sticks out? I'm not trying to be negative. The stock's up. Everybody loves it. So there's 49 buy ratings and 4 holds on the stock. I mean, some point, somebody's just got to say, well, could something go wrong here?
Well, I own it, Brian. So obviously,
you're not the guy then.
I'm thrilled. I love this. I think we're in the second inning of the 9-inning game here. But if you're asking me, is AI a bubble? Yeah, it's a bubble. But I would argue that anything major that you've made a ton of money from in tech over the last 20, 25 years started as a bubble. .com was a bubble. iPhone in 2007, 2008 was a bubble. We're starting to obviously see some of the signs of a bubble. Like, when Nvidia filed the 13F report in a week ago or so, and it said it had an investment in SoundHound, and suddenly the stock was up, 80%.
It's doubled. SoundHound has doubled in like 3 months.
Yeah. So those are signs of a bubble. But do you want to invest in Amazon in 99 or Apple in 2007, 2008? I mean, Nvidia is still very in the early days of this rollout for AI. Most enterprises, are probably going to have a board meeting tomorrow and say, did you see those Nvidia earnings last night? What is our AI strategy? And that is going to fill the top of the funnel for the next generation of customers that's going to come, next quarter and the quarter after that.
Listen, I'm telling you, Dan, next time I go in for a contract negotiation, I'm going to remind my bosses you can't spell Brian or Sullivan without the letters AI in either name. So that right there should just double, or I'll be making Dan Ives kind of money after that. But on a serious level, there's a lot of things out there. Listen, it's not necessarily your wheelhouse, Dan, but things like enough electricity generation to power the data centers in Loudoun County, Virginia. There are constraints out there, and the only reason I'm mentioning this is doing this for 25, almost 30 years now, is that when everybody's on one side of the ferry, whenever you think there's nothing that could go wrong, sometimes that's when waves hit, and they may not, and Nvidia may double from here. I'm just saying that there's got to be something out there that people need to particularly focus on.
Look, I think the biggest issue continues to be China. But I think what was so jaw-dropping in terms of the quarter, even with China on the decline, look at the actual quarter. Now, to your point, I don't think we hit some of those issues in terms of supply or even electricity, not for another 18, 24 months, which is why, Brian, I mean, we believe this is a 1995 moment. This is not a 1999, 2000 moment. And that's why I think for the tech bulls, I mean, this is really, what I view, it's a game changer moment that the Godfather of AI delivered yet again.
There you go. Eric, AI, like you said, you named some other names. It's probably going to change the world. I get that. But your point, you said, not me, that there are certainly parts that are a bubble. What's your advice to particularly newer or sort of just more retail or amateur investors and traders out there right now?
Well, you got to do your homework, like at any time, in the history of the stock market, right? You can't just look for a hot tip on a stock message board or on Twitter or X or whatever and just run with it. I mean, do your research. I think, a name like Supermicro, which you just mentioned a few months ago, that's a legitimate company. if I'm right and we're still in the early innings of this rollout, even though it seems crazy they've gone up $100 a day over the last few weeks, I mean, this could be a $3,000 stock in a couple of years. I think that some of the stocks that Nvidia just has an investment in, I'm less excited about that. So you just do your research, try to read up on stuff, find the most smartest people in the room, like people like Dan, and go from there.
Yeah, it's good advice, though I think you would assume that fundamentals might matter in that situation. Dan, I can't let you go. I got to ask you about Palo Alto Networks. I'm sure your clients are calling you as well. Listen, the stock got destroyed today, down 28%. They slashed full-year billings and revenue guidance. I will add, the stock is still well higher over the past year. So it is well up over the past year. It got whacked. High beta stock, obviously. Are you still a believer in Palo Alto Networks? Because today was tough.
It was a tough look. It was a brutal for bulls and for us. But look, it was a Nightmare on Elm Street quarter and a conference call. But the bull story's still there. In other words, this is still probably third inning of a 9-inning game relative to the cloud and AI opportunity. We've been here before with Palo Alto. So this is not the time to throw in the white towel. I know many have. I think we sit here 6-9 months from now, and this was more of a golden buying opportunity and overreaction rather than the time where this structurally declined.
The Godfather of AI strikes again, guys. Dan Ives says this is not even peaking in demand. The demand will continue to accelerate, calls it a Taylor Swift moment. Eric Jackson says we're in the second inning of a 9-inning game. He says AI is a bubble and the markets are showing signs of being in a bubble. That's what Mr. Eric Jackson says. Nvidia's biggest issue is China, but they are doing fine. That's what Dan Ives says. He calls this a game changer moment, a 1995 moment for the mega cap AI bulls. So we have one analyst kind of saying it's a bubble and one analyst saying it's not a bubble. We've got a major bull market coming. Nvidia said that they would be releasing a new product at the end of this year. That's very crazy. Prices will continue to go up, but the performance you get for these chips are going up even faster than the cost. So that's how they justify it, even though semiconductors have always come down over the last few years. They have the pricing power now. Major pricing power when you're the only one who has literally what everybody wants. Everybody wants what Nvidia has. That's a great spot to be in. And then they're releasing new products on top. Shoo-wee. Jackson predicts Supermicro could be $3,000 a share in a couple years. Claims he's done his research on them, and we'll be following up. Palo Alto plunges 28%, guys. Just in case you missed that, they slashed billing and their guidance. Other than that, Nvidia has taken us to the moon. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something. Catch you in the next one.